from bartender to politician to nurse keeper. That's AOC. AOC went on a fantastic adventure with Joe Biden in the woods, holding his hand, walking around, and talking out of both sides of her mouth. That's right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was with Joe Biden. But see, this is how you know she has perfected her final form, the flip-flopping politician who tries to appease everyone and does nothing for us, the people. And we've talked about this on yesterday's show with Due Dissidents and RBN for the post-duopoly show. In case you missed out on it, we had a great time. It was myself, Keaton, as well as Nick and CJ, kicking ass and taking names. Shout out to Russell, who's hosting a Jimmy Dore show. Take good care of yourself, Russell. Drink water. But let's go and pull up this article here, because AOC lauded by Biden after she applauds a peaceful student protest at Columbia, Yale, and Berkeley. Even though those students, and mind you, okay, those students have a right to protest, the right for free speech. You know, their livelihoods are being threatened by those associated or give donation to said universities. After all, Columbia, Yale, and Berkeley, controversial statement in a 3-2-1 are kind of little sort of maybe, really up there being pricey. So, a lot of these kids come from rich backgrounds, or either that got a scholarship, and if they are protesting and sending in solidarity with Palestine, well, then there's an axe coming their way because the establishment doesn't want to get corrected. So, of course, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hailed the peaceful student-led protest at Columbia University Monday, one day after the campus Rabbi Eli Butcher warned Jewish students to leave due to extreme anti-Semitism. People are just saying stop the genocide. It's not anti-Semitic, but okay. All right, fine. People have a right to an opinion. First Amendment and all that jazz. While we still got it, right? The squad's members' praise for the demonstrations on Morningside Heights came as she introduced President Joe Biden at an Earth Day event at Prince William Forest Park in Triangle, Virginia. Oh, isn't that sweet? Today serves as a reminder of the power of organizing, of what we can accomplish when young people, climate advocates, labor organizers, and working people of all backgrounds come together and demand a future we all deserve. Well, isn't that special, AOC? Right? Here. I just want to just show this video here. Here's AOC's speech. It's quite inspirational, really.
It is especially important that we remember the power of young people shaping this country today, of all days, as we once again witness the leadership of those peaceful student-led protests on campuses like Columbia, Yale, Berkeley, and many others.
Hey, are you actually going to show up at any of those events or stand in solidarity? No, probably not. But Joe, hold on. For consistency's sake, folks, where does Joe Biden stand in all this? After all, old man Biden has some words to say.
Protected. Bernie, you're the best. And Representative Ocasio-Cortez in New York, I learned a long time ago, listen to that lady. We're going to talk.
Wait, listen to that lady? About what? Force a vote? March for Medicare for all? 3-day General Strike Summit meeting? Fight for 15? Investing in our infrastructure? What exactly did you learn to listen to AOC a long time ago, right? How? Unless this looks like a way to pander, or either that Biden's Biden's advisors told him to say this in order to maybe pander to those who are still desperate enough to believe that the Justice Democrats' brand new Congress is actually a successful project and that AOC is the next wave of leadership so the Democrats can get enough voters to vote for them in 2024. Maybe I'm overreaching here. Say that again, Biden. Say that again.
I learned a long time ago, listen to that lady. We're going to talk more about another part of the world, too, real quickly. Look, joined by all of your advocates and community leaders, this is a good day. It's fitting to be here in Prince William.
Yes, Prince William. Yeah, Prince William. And what this was, just so all of you can see, green groups cheer $7 billion in Solar for All grants. Yes, climate advocates on Monday celebrate the Biden administration's Earth Day announcement that it's distributing $17 billion in solar for all grants to develop long-lasting solar programs that enable low-income and disadvantaged communities to deploy and benefit from distributed residential solar, lowering energy costs for family, creating good quality jobs in communities that have been left behind, advancing environmental justice, and tackling climate change. You know what's going to happen to most of that money? It's going to disappear down the toilet. It's going to go to special interest groups and lobby groups and donors, and very little will actually be done. Some solar panels will be made, but not to the extent the way, the politicians like to promote it. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency estimates that the awards, which are going to 60 applicants, including states, territories, tribal governments, municipalities, and nonprofits, will fund solar projects that positively impact over 900,000 households nationwide while reducing 30 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. The grant completion competition was made possible by the Inflation Reduction Act, which President Joe Biden signed in August of 2022. Well, when you look at AOC and what she's doing, tell me, do you think there's anything authentic about her? You start to understand U.S. politics better when you see these two items from the same event, not as contradictions, but as one being a strategy for the other. Look at this. Look at this. AOC praises the pro-Palestinian protests happening at Columbia and Yale. Oh, and here's President Biden. What's AOC right there? Young Americans know that the climate crisis is an existential threat of our time. They deserve leaders who believe in them. We're not going to let them down. We're not going to let them down. Hold on. They're saying that we're not going to let them down. You know something? When I look at the Democrats constantly pandering to us, I oppose it. How much do I oppose of it? Take it away.
Absolutely oppose every bit of it.
That's right. You should oppose every bit of it, as you should indeed. But now, folks, when I look at AOC, you see her holding hands and guiding Biden. There's no real leadership here. From bartender to politician to nursemaid. Holding hands, getting close, walking, speaking to each other. But what exactly are they talking about? What exactly are they discussing? Does he even know where he's at? By the way, AOC, did Mama Bear regulate you to this role? Did you take that initiative? Yeah. Walking him away. Here, come on. Walk me off the stage. Walk me off the stage. Same thing, too. A line of disappointing people. Bernie Sanders, that nutless wonder.
Mr. President.
I do have to ask, where are they going? Like, I get they got to go places, but where? This is all one stage photo op. So if you think AOC has our best interest, especially when she starts praising, the protesters at Columbia and all these other activists protesting and standing in solidarity with Palestine, to you activists and organizers, I support what you're doing. You have the right for free speech. But to those, especially those in those groups that are standing in solidarity with uncommitted voters, those that rode in Gaza during the primaries, I need to know, are you going to be consistent in standing up against a Democratic establishment? Because it's one thing to stand in solidarity with what's happening in Gaza. It's another thing altogether to believe that you have to bite the bullet to vote for Biden because you got to stand against Trump. Neither person is qualified for the job. I don't want to see. In fact, I dread seeing 2020 getting repeated again in 2024, Trump versus Biden. Neither one of them deserves to sit on the throne. I don't want to see two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup. But if you're going to be consistent, you have to show it. You cannot let fear get the better of you. And maybe I'm projecting too much. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I've seen this before where activists and organizers are calling out Democratic politicians, and then whoop, we got to vote blue no matter who. Joe Biden knew damn well that the IDF was targeting civilian structures. Joe Biden could have done the right thing in regards to climate change, could have done the right thing about Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness. He has chosen not to. He's been on the wrong side of history, and AOC and Bernie are carrying water for him. I want to pull up this video here. Shout out to Hotspot. Shout out to Nick of RBN. Because AOC is more than happy to be supporting another war. She might be against the war in Gaza, but she's all on board for money to go to Ukraine so that more treasury can be burnt like that. Hell, so much money's being burnt, even the Joker from the Dark Knight is getting jealous.
NATO left politician Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is pushing hard for your taxpayer money to be sent to Nazis in Ukraine. AOC is very upset that the House is considering tying aid to Israel as they commit their genocide against the Palestinians with the aid that AOC is so desperate to send to the authoritarian regime in Ukraine. We shouldn't be funding Israel as they commit a genocide. So let's send the money to fund another war instead. Oh, how progressive of you.
And that's my challenge to some of these progressives and activists. I get what you're doing at Columbia University and all these other universities protesting, standing in solidarity for what's happening in Gaza. But AOC, like any other politician, speaks out of both ends of her mouth, okay? She doesn't believe in anything that she's fighting for. She's just like any other politician. And there she is, standing with Joe Biden. You want to know why things are bad as they are? It's because Joe Biden and other neoliberal Democrat politicians and Republican politicians helped create the system that we're living in now. Joe Biden, he's not the mastermind, but he's one of the many architects of the system we are in now. And AOC and Bernie are saying that he's A-OK. And before anyone says, but Trump, well, Trump used to be a Democrat. And Trump, being the corporate tycoon that he is, whatever, knew how to go through the loopholes. And if you think the Democrats or Republicans are ever going to get rid of those loopholes, including people like AOC, you think they're ever going to get rid of those loopholes? Never going to happen. A system like this creates people like Trump. And dare I say it, it also creates people who take advantage of other people's hopes and dreams, like Bernie Sanders or AOC.
AOC even said with a straight face that we must send our taxpayer money to Ukraine in order to defend democracy.
The core and the key that we have here is in support geopolitically instability, is in supporting Ukraine in this moment. Having U.S. military assistance and broader global assistance to Ukraine should be one of our top geopolitical priorities, because it is the key in defending democracy geopolitically, whether your interest is in China, whether the interest is in anywhere else there. All of the focus here is in Ukraine.
Ukraine banned workers' right to collective bargaining, and they banned opposition parties, including socialist parties. Meanwhile, we have AOC, a self-admitted socialist, calling them a democracy. This is why it's extremely important for us to call these fake socialists like AOC out. Her job is to bastardize what it means to be a socialist. AOC's role is to convince young people that wars can be progressive.
And we talked about this on the post-duopoly show as well. We talked about how progressives are more and more on board, as at least the politicians are more and more on board for war. How interesting is it that we have actually lived in this time where the Democratic Party is just is able to fall in line like the Republican Party? Now, for those of you who type in the comment section, well, some Republicans are anti-war in Ukraine, but yeah, that's true. But there are many Republicans who are pro-war for the war that's happening in Gaza. And there are Democrats who say they're against it, but, you know, they're owned by AIPAC. It's just a back and forth card game. Uno in reverse. That's what we're seeing with these politicians. AOC is no different. All these people that you see in back there, you got AOC, Jamal Bowman, Cory Booker, Bernie Sanders, all of them. You see them and they act exactly the same way as their, well, contemporaries. They just put on a mask, pretending that they care.
Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the rest of the NATO left are not the best of the establishment. They are playing a very particular and nefarious role on behalf of the ruling class. NATO.
Now I want to pull up this one last video here. As regards to how constituents in AOC's district, how they feel about it. Now, of course, this is a Fox News perspective, and Fox News has its biases. But you won't see this on BSDNC or CNN.
On Friday, Primetime paid a visit to AOC's district, and it wasn't doing well. Crime, illegal vendors, prostitutes, running wild. But there's good news for AOC. The president's listening to her concerns.
Representative Ocasio-Cortez in New York, you know, I learned a long time ago, listen to that lady.
Joe Biden and AOC were forest bathing, which I support, frolicking in the woods, celebrating Earth Day. Happy Earth Day, everybody. And
oh, by the way, happy Earth Day. Hope you enjoyed the Earth as much as you can until we nuke ourselves.
that is the most important issue, global warming, we understand. But is that what her constituents care about? Johnny went to her district in Queens to find out.
How about all this inflation?
Out of control.
It's horrible.
Crazy. Everything's going up.
It's getting worse every day.
What issue in this country is impacting your life the most?
The rent is one of the biggest problems.
The prices. Food went up.
The job market. Economic issues are number one. We can't take care of ourselves. We can do anything else.
That's true, because it's true.
When you're headed to the polls this November, how important is the issue of January 6th?
January 6th. What are you talking about, January?
Glad I paused it right there. Now, politicians keep on bringing up January 6th, right? But let's look at the vast majority of Americans, right? Myself included, because I have fallen for this as well. I call it the blurring effect. If you look at your smartphone or if you're at your laptop or your computer, eventually you forget things. You forget things that happened maybe 2 weeks ago. Something historic, right? Remember that interview that Tucker Carlson did with Putin? Everyone was saying, oh, it was the end-all, be-all interview. No, yeah, well, people moved on. People moved on from it. People eventually forget or try and at least focus on their lives. That's the majority of people. We're just trying to get by in a world that is understandably out of our control. AOC, carrying water for Biden and the Democrats. Was it worth it?
January 6th.
I don't recall.
There's way more important things to be worrying about than January 6th.
Simply not true.
Should we secure the border?
Of course, yes. I'm Latino, but all these people that I've been coming
Hey, what do you mean those people?
here, I've been doing crime.
There's too many people here already.
You know, take in the huddled masses, yearning, breathing to be free. It's a load of bogus. Why would we take the crippled and the poor from other places? Do we have for them? Because they don't have for me.
People said, oh, the Hispanics won't like a wall. I said, I think they're going to love it.
Is Joe Biden too soft on crime?
Soft. Super soft.
He's soft. He's soft.
I don't think an old person has the same ability as a young person.
How old are you?
83.
Do you want to be president?
Not now.
There's people walking in the stores, just taking whatever they want and walking out. Why don't we do it? Why don't you and I do it?
I go to the pharmacy and I'm waiting forever to get something.
20 minutes to get my deodorant. It's crazy.
I get that shipped to Jesse Waters' house.
Let me know how I could get on that program.
That gravy train has ended.
Donald Trump is leading in some polls with Latinos. What happened there?
We came here to work, to pay taxes, not to have everything free.
He defends the country in a good way.
Latinos are tired of Biden. He's sending money and money and money, right, to help the Ukraine people. He should stop a little bit.
What has Joe Biden?
Now we're going to pause here because, even I can stomach Fox News for so long. It's a little bit more entertaining than BSDNC, but let's be clear here. Voters in AOC's district have their opinions. People are seeing AOC for who she is. Look at that video that I played earlier. Those photos of her talking about standing in solidarity with the protesters in Colombia and all these other universities. But they're protesting this war in Gaza. But what was AOC's opinion for those protesters who are against the war in Ukraine? Oh, they're right wing. They're alt right. They're not true leftists. They're not true progressives. Hypocrisy much from AOC and the Democrats? Absolutely. And yet they carry water for Joe Biden. They carry water for Joe Biden because it's good for their political career. AOC and the squad, all those people with the Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, Our Revolution, DSA, they know the game. And the game for these politicians in Washington, D.C. is, where is my career 2 years down the road, 4 years down the road, 6 years down the road, 8 years down the road, 10 years down the road? That's what people like AOC care about. They don't care about you. She was quick to endorse Joe Biden, as was Bernie Sanders. She was quick to support this war in Ukraine and give money to it. All that treasury gone. All that money gone. $61 billion. And that's not all of it. The whole shebang is far, far, far larger. And yet we have to sit here and be subservient to people like AOC and be lectured by her, be talked down to by her because she knows best. All I see in AOC is another hypocritical politician. And I know one thing. I cannot support the Democratic Party, and I sure as hell can't support the Republican Party. And where I stand with that is this one thing, very simple. I oppose it. I oppose the DNC and the RNC. I oppose jagoff politicians who are Republican or Democrat. I oppose them. How much do I oppose them?
In the face of all of that, and that's why I absolutely oppose every bit of it.
Thank you, crazy lady. Thank you for that. I told you this election cycle was going to get crazy. It was going to be interesting. But, however, it will not be the most important. Stay tuned to Hard Lens Media.